My name is Melissa Welch. I'm a Muscogee citizen and also Cherokee, and I have my own nonprofit organization, which is Native Bloom Aquaponics. I raise all sorts of vegetables and native plants, and I like to use it as an education tool, and it's just a lot of fun. I also worked for the Uchee Butterfly Farm for many years, and I learned a lot about plants and a lot about transplanting and companion planting from them. And now I work for the Muscogee Nation as the farm manager for the student farm and food services, so that we can provide education for the community and our elders and also the students on raising plants and starting their own gardens. My logo, that was actually artwork that was a donation to me by Joe Hopkins, who is a Muscogee artist. I was very fortunate to be able to take part in the Muscogee Conservation District application process. They were granting citizens, 4 citizens within the reservation, a greenhouse, which is a $40,000 setup for this greenhouse. And I was very excited. December of 2024, I was told that I was awarded this, and so I decided that, okay, this is where we're going to set this.
Oh, yeah. So what are you growing in here right now?
So primarily, yes, primarily this is the vegetable bed. So lots of green beans. There's a large green bean right now. And the banana peppers.
Nice.
And of course some pinto beans here, and that the seeds were given to me by the Muscogee Nation Conservation District.
Cool.
We have some kale here that's doing. It's still young.
Onions?
And so those are chives, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, they're doing very, very well. They actually sprouted out. It got a little warm in here yesterday, but they sprouted very quickly. They were only in here about a week and a half, and they're about that tall. So.
Really? Is this a carrot?
That's carrots, yeah.
How do those grow okay in hydroponic systems?
It's been doing really well. I've not tried it until about 2 months ago. It's been in there about 2 months. So when it gets probably another week or two, I'll transplant it into the ground or into a larger pot.
Oh, I see.
I've not had quite success with carrots, but it seems to be wanting to work out okay. And then I have some radishes here, some breakfast radishes. Let's see if I can pull one of them up here. Oh yeah, there we go.
Dang, girl.
They're coming along. They were popping through the other day, so. The hydroponic bed or aquaponic beds are just primarily, the only thing feeding the nutrition or to the beds is the water. So the water will actually start over here. It comes in the tank here with our fish. There's a variety of fish here. We have some crappie, we have small bass. The water in the tank actually fertilizes the beds. So once it goes through all of the flow here, it'll flow right into each bed, and you can change the flow rate. So say you have certain plants in here that do not require a lot of water, so you can turn it down where it's just a trickle, or you can turn it up. Especially in the summertime, there's a lot of evaporation with the water in the tank. So I really try to keep it a little lower in the summertime because the beds are pretty full. So if you pull back, you can kind of see there's moisture all through here. So it is a full bed of water. So just so I don't have to, fill it up with any type of rural water, throughout the summer because that can throw off the pH level. So last summer and spring we had a lot of rain. So I had a lot of rainwater, and that was a lot better than having to, having a rural water process through here and having to fight the pH levels. So once that flows, it goes all the way down to the drain at the end, and it recycles through this pump here. It'll recycle. It goes all the way under. There's a pipe there underneath, and it'll come back through this tank. And so when this gets to yellow, then that means that the backwash, the wastewater, is pretty much full. So I'll take a hose, place it here into a watering bucket, and with that backwash water, it's full of a lot of nutrients that, of course, I can't pour back into the tank, but I can water all of the plants that are in pots.
Oh, nice.
And I don't have to use Miracle-Gro or anything like that.
Like fertilizer, water.
Yes.
Oh, nice.
And my goal this summer, for sure, is being able to take the water, the backwash water, and bottle it and be able to sell that as a fertilizer for plants at farmers markets.
Organic fertilizer?
Yes.
Wow.
Aquaponic greenhouses, or any type of greenhouse, is very important because if you're planting outside, you're dealing with a lot of elements. You're dealing with a lot of birds, a lot of different insect species that can delay your germination, can interfere with produce development, especially certain bugs that can get a hold of your squash, which is not fun. And so having a system in a controlled environment, your perimeter of any type of insects coming in is very minimal. And if you do have insects that come in, I've had an issue with spider mites, which they can consume a plant in no time. I had a few on my peppers. You can release predatorial insects like ladybugs to be able to be a natural pesticide to those bugs and those pests. So, and you can have in an enclosed area in a greenhouse with heat and your water and lighting, you can have vegetables all year round and flowering plants all year round as well.
I always tell people in hydroponic or aquaponic systems, when we're growing in soil, plants get nutrients from the soil, but we kind of have to wait for soil microbes to break down those nutrients. So when I explain it in soil science, I'm always like, the microbes eat the organic matter and poop it out. Something else eats that poop and poops it out. And they just keep pooping it out until it's so small that it dissolves in water, and then the plant can pick it up. When you're growing in aquaponic or hydroponic, you're literally skipping that entire pooping it out and breaking down process, and you're just giving your plants straight nutrient water without anything having to break down the nutrients and minerals. So it's going to help your plants grow faster, germinate faster, and just be more green than they would waiting for nutrients outside of the soil.
Oh, also, Courtney, this is pretty cool. This is the Mvskoke pumpkin.
Oh, yeah.
There's several here. We're testing some germination qualities, and these have been in here about a month.
Oh, nice.
So they've been doing very well.
So this is like a traditional Muscogee crop.
Yes.
Delicious.
And they're doing so great.
Oh, this is cool.
Yes, and that is actually a cacti that Brandon Gibson from the Yuchi Butterfly Farm, the Tribal Alliance Pollinators, I've had that going for a little while. That's rooting out the, over here somewhere. There's the one that I clipped it from.
Mom.
So, yeah, and we have some northern sea oats growing in there too, so it's pretty exciting. So this is a bronze fennel. So this is actually seeds that were cultivated from the fennel at my mom's house, actually, and it attracts swallowtails. So especially the black swallowtail, which is the Oklahoma state butterflies. And I was so excited that the Indian blanket bloomed as well.
That is beautiful. Gorgeous.
And that seed was also collected about 6 years ago at the place where I grew up, where my folks' place. But in the starts here, I have a few that are, I just did these about 2 days ago, so they're going to take some time. This is the yellow squash. We got some chives coming up and some hot peppers.
Nice.
And here is a mix that I just kind of bagged up. Yes, these are all sunflowers. And these were all seeds that were collected from my front yard. I plant a pretty big area of sunflowers every year. And this is just kind of a combination of all the wildflowers I had. There's a lot of Indian blanket there. There's some zinnias that kind of came through as well, and just a variety, and some coreopsis that's really, really small, but it's looking great. Watermelons, of course, which are really exciting, and some more Mvskoke pumpkins.
Yay,
So
pumpkin patch.
yes,
2026.
very excited about that. Of course, I collect all my seeds. I have a lot of seeds that I've brought out here that I've been going through and sorting. These are a lot of the sunflowers. It's a mix of sunflowers, and all these 2 bags of seeds, actually 3 bags of seeds. The whole front part of my house into my pasture was full of sunflowers last year.
Wow.
So these were all collected from that. And,
what are you gonna do with all of this?
so we're gonna have to find a place to be able to spread all of it, especially after the construction at the college. We'll be placing a lot of them, and they're all different
farming.
sizes.
Oh
Yes.
wow, super cool. Have you ate any of your sunflower seeds?
I have not, but I think it would be a really awesome project to be able to kind of learn how to.
Yeah, put them in food distribution.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Super.
It's very important. I don't try to buy a lot of seeds.
Yeah.
I definitely just collect what's growing the next year, even with vegetables too. Say we have a good crop season with squash or watermelon, I'll take those seeds, or even just pie pumpkin seeds. I'll take those as well, and I will harvest those and plant those every year. And I usually plant my pie pumpkins along the fence on the southern side.
Oh, cool.
And they do so well. And speaking of pumpkins, one of the Mvskoke pumpkins that you all haven't finished cleaning them, but you all had a citizen this last year.
Oh, nice.
So here's a lot of the seeds. I do have to finish cleaning some of this.
Mvskoke pumpkins.
Yes, my 2 of my girls counted them, and I think there were 157 seeds.
Oh wow.
So
Perfect.
very exciting.
I want to eat one, but I won't. I'm like, the one seed could give us 40 pumpkins, so I won't eat it.
I do have pie pumpkin seeds.
So do you keep your lights on 24 hours in here or no?
Usually I do not, but with the colder weather, I left them on.
Okay.
And I also had the propane heater going, and whenever it was not, below freezing or that wind chill, I would just do a space heater just to kind of conserve on that, and it's done very well. And there's a lot of concern too with individuals that are concerned about, greenhouse is going to raise my electric bill. I have had maybe a $25 increase in my electric bill since this unit was fully operational. So I think a lot of it is the way it was built.
Yeah.
And just the quality of, of course, the lighting, and the pump. The pump too is a very good, low amp pump that does the job in this space as well. So
Yeah.
it's not even a lot of work. It's actually you just place the seeds right directly into the bed, and if they're smaller seeds, you turn the water down a little bit,
Yeah.
and 3 days you'll have something coming up and germinating. And
Have you put cuttings in it at all?
so the cutting that I have put in is the willow back there as well, and the passion vine, or the passiflora. And so this grows on the east side of my house, the whole east side of my house. The whole wall's full of it. And before we had that second hard freeze, I clipped, and it was maybe about, I don't know, probably just a vine about from here to here. And so that's been about I guess, almost a month. I had it, placed it right into the bed, rooted out, and it's just thriving. So this summer I had the whole wall here full of cucumbers. And so I harvested all of them, and I kind of kept them back because they were taking over a little bit with the sun coming through. So, but
do you have any issues with like pollination in here or anything like that?
So the only issue I had with pollination was with my squash. I had to self-pollinate it, but with the fans on and everything circulating, like the peppers, everything else has done very well. So I think in November was the last harvest of my watermelon, and they were falling over the side and they were in the floor. So I think I harvested in here, I think we had 11 watermelon last season, so that was pretty exciting. And I really would like to expand out and make it a little bit larger and get a few more beds, because you could definitely harvest well over hundreds and hundreds of pounds of produce.
You can even like double layer too, you know?
Absolutely, yes.
Like underneath.
One thing I forgot to mention is that I am actually the Muscogee Nation Care Champion, which is a granted award that is a recognizable individual within the reservation as a Muscogee citizen who goes through different processes to troubleshoot soil conservation, plant health, and develop and bring in the community together so that they can be educated and have that experience as well. So, and I'm really grateful to Julie Norm, who's over the Muscogee Nation Conservation District, for all of her help, and very thankful to you, Courtney, for your insight and extra seeds, and hopefully we can get some cuttings of some yopon in here. I think that we could really do that.
Yeah. Day. So now we're back at the college, and I'm just going to show you guys our hydroponic system that we have set up in the Natural Resource Building. So this is a unit that we got actually from the UT Butterfly Farm, but you can buy a unit just like this on Amazon for a few $100s. We're not using fish in our unit, so it's technically just hydroponic, not aquaponic, but we do add plant nutrients to our water. So something like this is good for if you're growing in small spaces, like you could fit this in a closet. We have this in our storage room in the Natural Resource Building, so it's kind of out of the way, and it does everything for you. We have the lights on a timer, we have the water pump on a timer, so it turns the lights on and off itself. It turns the water on and off itself. It turns the water on multiple times a day, so they're getting little drinks of nutritious water every day throughout the day. So right now we're growing some romaine. This is like a Paris Island romaine, I think, and you see how green and healthy it is. It's not nutrient deficient in anything. And then we recently planted strawberry seeds in this. Strawberry grows really, really slow from seed. But so we're going to have strawberries in this also. When you're growing in a hydroponic or aquaponic system, you want to kind of grow things that don't need to be pollinated. So if you think like lettuce, we're eating the leaves, we're not eating the fruit or the flower, so we don't need to worry about pollination. You saw in Melissa, she had a lot of herbs. When we eat herbs, we're really just eating the leaves. We're not eating the fruit or the flower of the plant. Or you want to plant things that pollinate themselves. So like these strawberries are a self-pollinating variety. Plus there's a little fan up here that will kind of help. But you want to either plant self-pollinating or things that don't need to be pollinated. If you're going to try to grow squash or cucumbers or something like that in an aquaponic or hydroponic system, you're going to either have to introduce pollinators into your greenhouse or hand pollinate. So you take a paintbrush and kind of go to this flower, then go to this flower and back to this flower. Just pretend to be a little bumblebee, but with the paintbrush. But ideally you just want to grow vegetative, non-flowering plants in it. So we saw in Melissa's aquaponic system, she had like the rocks as her growing medium. And you know, we don't use the rocks, but we use these rock wool cubes is what they're called. It's just like a blend of like wool fibers essentially. The texture kind of feels like fiberglass whenever it's dry. It's really sharp. So these are what they look like whenever they're dry. It's literally just bound up wool fibers. And these are good for aquaponic or hydroponic systems because they're neutral. So whenever we're growing in soil, your soil isn't necessarily neutral. It has a bunch of nutrients and minerals already in it. This has nothing in it. This has 0 nutrients, 0 minerals. You just try to grow your plants in this and just plain old water, your plants are getting no nutrients. So this is a good place to start in aquaponic because you know exactly what your plants are getting. You're adding the nutrients yourself and you know exactly how much nutrients your plants are getting. In soil, you know, you have to kind of wait for microbes to break down organic matter. And as that organic matter gets smaller, it dissolves in water, and that's how your plants get nutrients. In this, you're skipping that whole process. You're just putting nutrient water into the plant roots, and they're just getting straight nutrients. So you don't have to wait for anything to break down. You don't have to wait for anything to become ready or available. The plants have food all the time. Yeah. So what this does is there's a little hole where we can see our water. There's a small pump inside of there, and basically when we turn it on, it's pumping the water up through the system all the way to the top. And if you, yeah, you can see in that one, but if you pull it out, you can see where the water is dripping onto the little rock wool basket. And our system does this for about 10-15 minutes 3 times a day. So as soon as the lights come on, they get a drink, they get a lunch drink, and then they get an evening drink before the lights go off. So in our Mvskoke Gardening episode, I think it's episode 2, we have an episode just about fertilizing, about mixing your fertilizer and feeding it to your plants. It's essentially the same thing for aquaponic, except instead of watering your plants with it, you're just filling a tank and letting it pump through the system. But we have our bloom nutrients if you want your plants to flower, or we have our vegetative nutrients if you want your plants to just grow leaves and stems and roots and things like that, but not fruit or flower. And then we also measure the EC, or the electrical conductivity. This is essentially telling you how much nutrients is in your water. This specific meter doesn't tell you how much of each nutrient. It's not going to tell you how much nitrogen or phosphorus, but it'll give you a general idea of what is in your water besides just H2O. So we usually stick it in and it's blinking at 1.6. I like to try to keep it between or below 2.0. Anything between 1 and 1.5 is ideal. If you go any higher than that, you risk burning your plants and they might get like brown and crispy on the leaves. So if your EC is too high, you would just add more water. If it's too low, you would just add more nutrients. And then you might notice in this system, and you might have seen a little bit in Melissa's, that there's a lot of algae buildup that happens in hydroponic or aquaponics. So this green layer on the rock wool, kind of like that. Algae, honestly, hydroponic systems are ideal algae breeding grounds. Algae really just needs water, light, and nutrients, and it's going to start to grow. So you're going to have to keep your system cleaned regularly. Every time we plant something new in this, we clean it out. We alcohol clean the whole thing because we don't want to just have this covered in gross, slimy algae all the time. It doesn't necessarily negatively affect our plants, at least not that I've seen yet. But it does just look gross and it feels nasty when you're harvesting and you have all this slimy algae on the rock wool. So, Mado for watching today's episode of the gardening series. If you're interested in gardening, if you want to come see what kind of seeds we have, if you want to just come see our garden and what we're growing,
We're open to the public every Friday from 9 a.m. to noon, so stop by and see us.